Do you need tons of slime, but don't want to dig out chunks down to bedrock and have like 16 iron golems? Well, then the Oozing Potion Slime Farm might be for you. I'm your host, Ledoux, and this is the new and updated version for the Oozing Potion Slime Farm. The main reason we need to update this video is because Mojank made armor stands no longer work with the oozing potions. Not only that, but apparently there's been some tweaks to how slimes spawn, because these designs have started letting some slimes escape. But never fear, these new versions are just as simple. In fact, they're even cheaper to use. Since we're not using armor stands, we don't need any smooth stone, we'll just need some eggs or snow. We're going to start off with an overview of these two versions. You should be able to build it from a picture since these are so simple, but just in case, we will do a build along near the end of the video. The first one will use chickens, and the second one will use snow golems. So either way, these are super duper cheap and easy to use. Both of these designs are going to have a dispenser facing up, surrounded by walls. The chicken version is going to have a comparator clock off to the side to power the dispenser, and a floating block above the middle. We're going to place a bunch of eggs into this dispenser, and then turn on the comparator clock to quickly throw all of the eggs in there. Now, of course, you could do this by hand, but the comparator clock is much faster. And don't worry, the eggs don't actually damage the chickens, so no chickens will die while you're launching the eggs. Then once your chickens are in the farm, we're going to splash some oozing potion on them, and then we need to kill all the chickens all at once. To do this in a foolproof way, we're going to place a splash potion of harming inside of this dispenser, rather than just throwing the potion by hand, because we could miss some chickens by doing it that way. So now we just need to either press a button to activate the dispenser, or turn on the comparator clock. Either way, it will dispense that potion, killing all the chickens, turning them all into slimes. Now we could either just sit here with our looting sword, or we could place another splash potion of harming inside of the dispenser, and then press the button again. So you could go ahead and load 2 or 3 splash potions from the get-go, and then just press the button to turn all the chickens into big slimes, then press the button again to turn all the big slimes into tiny ones. Then you could even press it a third time to kill all the tiny ones all at once. But, if you want looting, just go ahead and kill them with your looting sword. Or another interesting thing that you can do, if you have a lot of potions of harming, you can just throw one from a ways back and instantly switch to your looting sword. As long as you switch to your looting sword before the potion actually hits the slimes, you will get the looting effect. So this can be a really fast way to just annihilate all of the slimes and get looting all at once. Now, of course, for this, we will need eggs, which luckily an egg farm is just some trapped chickens on top of a hopper. You can trap them in solid blocks or in a hole in the ground. As long as they are sitting on top of a hopper, as they lay eggs, the eggs will get collected. And then if you want to load more than 9 stacks of eggs at a time, I would recommend placing a dropper next to the comparator clock, next to the dispenser. And it needs to be a dropper, not a dispenser. The middle one needs to be a dispenser, but the one off to the side is a dropper. And this will give you 9 more slots to fill with eggs. And also, when you're placing in your eggs, make sure there are no splash potions of harming inside of the dispenser before you turn it on. Now with that chicken design, you will have to switch between eggs and harming potions inside of the dispenser. Whereas with the snow golem design, you will only ever need harming potions in this dispenser. The reason we're using a dispenser is that it's guaranteed to kill all of the mobs in the farm from one single potion. Whereas if you threw the potion by hand, there is a chance that it doesn't kill all of the mobs. But then for this design, we also have a pumpkin shearer. We have an observer with a dispenser that has some shears inside. And this will remove the carved pumpkin from the snow golem's head as you craft the golems. We also have a trapdoor floating in the middle directly below the level of the dispenser. So this would be attached to the bottom dispenser, but it's in the middle. So as we build our snow golems, the observer will notice the change in block state, which will trigger the dispenser, which will shear the pumpkin off of the snow golem's head. That way you never actually consume any pumpkins in this process. You only ever consume snow. We'll also take a look at a snow farm near the end of the video, because they are super duper cheap and easy to make, and they produce absolutely an insane amount of snow. Because of that, I would highly recommend this version over the chicken if you need tons and tons of slime. But we also need to make sure that after we put our snow golems in the farm, we need to close that trap door. Because if you don't close that trap door and then you summon the slimes, odds are that slimes are going to go flying. But then, just like last time, we need to throw an oozing potion onto the snow golems, then dispense a potion of harming to turn them all into big slimes. And of course from here, you can either just whack them with your sword, or you can dispense more harming potions to kill them faster. You know, that part is totally up to you. It will all just depend on how much time you want to spend killing the slimes versus how many potions you want to craft, and if you want looting or not. Now another neat thing about using snow golems is they will drop snow when they are killed. But to access this snow, we will actually just need to break and replace one of the walls. Because we don't want to place carpet or blocks or anything touching these walls. If you place blocks next to them or carpet on top of them, slimes will end up getting launched out of the farm. So make sure that there is nothing touching these walls. These walls need to have air blocks completely surrounding them for this to be perfectly safe and foolproof. As an example, if we place a block next to these walls, we can see that some slimes will instantly get launched out of the farm. And so, if something does go wrong and the slimes do get out, like maybe you forgot to close the trap door, or maybe someone broke one of the walls or something. You know, either way, if the slimes escape for whatever reason, they don't have persistence. So all you have to do is leave. If you walk about 50 blocks away, they will all despawn. So you don't have to worry about them overwhelming your world. We will, of course, also need to brew some potions to use the farm. Luckily, these potions are super cheap. All you need is some water bottles, netherwort, and gunpowder. Then for the harming, you'll need some spider eyes, and the oozing will require a block of slime. Now you really don't need to make very many of these potions to get tons and tons of slime. But I do have some tutorials on auto potion brewers, as well as a guide on how to farm netherwort, and a split density mob farm that you could build at any size. You don't have to build the max size version. You could just build a single platform at like a third of the size, and that would give you more than enough eyes and gunpowder to brew all the potions you could ever need. But now let's build it. So both of these versions are basically the same. No matter which one you want, it will be a 3x3 area with a dispenser in the center facing up. Then we will have an upper slab on the front section next to the dispenser, then dig down under that slab so that we can access the dispenser from down here, and so that we can place a button on the solid block that is below the dispenser. That way we have a button to activate it. Then we want to place walls surrounding this dispenser on all sides. And again, make sure there are no blocks touching any of those walls. Then for the chicken version, we want a floating block right there in the center. Then we want to build the comparator clock, again for the chicken version, just over here off to the side. So we need a comparator on subtraction mode, then 4 redstone dust, 3 looping back around to the side of the comparator, and 1 pointed into the block that is touching that dispenser. Now we just need a lever in front of this comparator, and when we turn this lever on, the clock should activate and you should hear the dispenser clicking. And that's it. That's it for the chicken design. It is all ready to go. Just throw some eggs in there. Now for the snow golem design, instead of the clock and instead of that floating block, we're going to go up by a block on the back, then place a dispenser facing the front, then an observer also facing the front, then a solid block behind the dispenser with redstone dust on top. Then a block of any kind on top of the observer so that we can place the pumpkin heads on top of the golems, and place a upper trap door right there next to that bottom block. So it's right below where the dispenser is, like so. And that's it. Now you just throw some shears into this dispenser to shear the pumpkins, and then just start building your snow golems. Place 2 blocks of snow with a carved pumpkin on top, and be sure to open the trap door so they can fall down into the walls. A snow farm is one of the cheapest farms that you can possibly build, and the rates are absolutely insane. If you use this farm for like 30 seconds, you'll have enough snow to build like 50 golems. And even though it's not required, since we're recycling the pumpkins, if you want a pumpkin farm, here is one of those as well. Now one thing to remember when using this farm is that every mob that you put in, whether it's chickens or snow golems, will get multiplied by 6 before you finally kill the slimes. So don't go too overboard or you might crash your world. Don't put in more than like 50 golems or 50 chickens at any time, because that is like, what, 300 mobs? If you started with 50 snow golems or chickens. So especially if you're playing multiplayer, always be conscious of your impact on the lag. Plus, if you load in 300 slimes, that will actually turn off the global mob cap, so mobs will stop spawning anyway. Which is what we're going to talk about in the next video, is how to make quick and easy mob switches to turn off spawning for times that you need to be safe. But that's all we got for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. But above all, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!